In 2023, in Karachi, Pakistan, wealthy businessman Arslan Malik married 24-year-old Ayesha Khan in a lavish ceremony that captured headlines. But behind the glittering celebrations, a hidden affair with an elderly American retiree would turn their fairy tale life into a deadly nightmare. The story began with a wedding that seemed like a dream, a union wrapped in luxury and admiration. The groom was a wealthy businessman, known for his meticulous planning and a life built on control and precision. He had a reputation for success, and his influence reached far beyond his immediate circle. The bride, a young woman from Pakistan, was admired for her beauty, elegance, and charm. She had been chosen through family networks, a marriage arranged to unite two powerful families. The wedding itself was extravagant, with a grand hall decorated in gold and crystal, a feast that dazzled guests, and music that echoed late into the night. Photographs captured smiling faces and perfect moments, but beneath the surface, there was tension. The bride, though polite and composed, felt increasingly isolated. Her new home was large and heavily secured, with locked gates, cameras, and guards at every entrance. Freedom felt limited, and loneliness crept in quietly. Friends noticed her absence from social gatherings and her rare appearances on social media. Small outings to the library or nearby public spaces became her only escape, moments where she could breathe without being watched. The husband's controlling nature extended beyond the home, carefully managing who she could see and where she could go. To the outside world, the couple appeared flawless, a modern fairy tale of wealth and prestige. Inside, however, the reality was starkly different. The bride's quiet, unnoticed steps toward independence were the first signs of a secret life that would soon shatter the illusion of perfection. As the months passed, the marriage began to show cracks that were impossible to ignore. The husband's business trips became longer and more frequent, and he kept strict control over the household, finances, and even the bride's communication with the outside world. Every call was monitored, every message reviewed, and every outing carefully logged. Despite the gilded cage she lived in, the bride found small ways to reclaim her freedom. She started visiting the local library and community centers, claiming interest in learning and social activities. It was during one of these visits that she met an elderly American retiree who volunteered at the center. He was a quiet man, living alone, who spent his days reading, teaching newcomers English, and helping with small projects in the community. Their interactions began as casual and polite, conversations about books and local events. Slowly, their connection deepened. She felt listened to, valued, and free in a way she had not experienced in months. The retiree, too, found comfort in their talks, enjoying the company of someone so curious and lively. Emails and messages began, carefully hidden from the husband, deleted soon after being sent. What started as emotional support grew into a secret and dangerous liaison. Each meeting was calculated, each message a risk. The bride felt alive and hopeful for the first time since her marriage, believing she had found someone who understood her, someone who could be trusted. Unbeknownst to her, every step she took was quietly being tracked, every digital trace silently observed, setting the stage for the tragic events that would follow. The discovery of the affair changed everything, though it arrived quietly, without dramatic confrontation. The husband noticed small anomalies, deleted messages on shared devices, unusual patterns in her schedule, and receipts from places she claimed never to visit. At first, he pretended not to see them, observing from a distance, calculating rather than confronting. He then hired a private investigator to follow her movements and document every interaction. The investigation revealed more than he expected: photos of secret meetings, emails carefully hidden, and clear evidence of her growing connection with the elderly retiree. For him, it was not heartbreak that consumed him, but humiliation, a sense that control had slipped from his grasp. Unlike most people, he did not react impulsively. Instead, he studied everything. He analyzed her routines down to the smallest detail: the time she left the house, the locations she frequented, even her body language in public spaces. Friends who saw him during this period recalled his calm and composed demeanor, the way he hosted lavish dinners and smiled at social events, masking the storm within. Behind closed doors, he meticulously researched legal and financial strategies, exploring insurance policies, property rights, and possible loopholes that could benefit him if something were to happen. Every precaution was planned, every step measured. The house, once a place of opulent life, became quieter, almost ominous. The bride, sensing only tension but misreading it as routine silence, believed that the worst had passed. She had no idea that her secret life, once a source of joy, had become the centerpiece of a carefully orchestrated plan that would soon spiral into tragedy. The night of the murder was carefully planned to appear as a sudden, tragic accident. After a long day, the bride was found collapsed in the home gym, her body lifeless on the polished floor. At first, the incident seemed ordinary, a medical emergency that could happen to anyone. Bruises were explained as the result of a fall, and the husband appeared genuinely devastated, calling for medical help and cooperating fully with authorities. Friends and family mourned with him, offering condolences and support. Funeral arrangements were swift and meticulously organized, reflecting the family's desire for tradition and privacy. The elderly American retiree, who had become the bride's closest confidant, was left in shock, only learning of her death through a brief, impersonal online notice. The timing and circumstances immediately raised questions for those who knew her well, but the husband's composed demeanor discouraged deeper inquiry at first. Authorities initially accepted the accident narrative, but some details began to seem inconsistent upon closer inspection. Small things, a misaligned camera angle, a missing security log, and subtle marks that did not match the story, hinted at a deeper truth. While outward appearances suggested grief and helplessness, inside the house, the atmosphere was tense and controlled, as if nothing had changed. The carefully constructed facade of an accidental death was the husband's first step in executing a crime that would later unravel under scrutiny. The bride's secret life, unknown to nearly everyone, had made her vulnerable, and the carefully monitored household had become the perfect stage for a murder masked as misfortune. As investigators began to look closer, the story of an accidental death started to unravel. Forensic experts noticed details that did not fit the official account. Toxic substances were detected in the supplements the bride had been taking, chemicals that could explain sudden collapse but were never mentioned in initial reports. Security footage from the house showed unexplained gaps, times when cameras were inexplicably offline or files deleted, making it impossible to verify her movements fully. The husband claimed technical failures and coincidental timing, but digital records told a different story: manual deletions and carefully altered logs. Financial investigators also discovered recent changes in insurance policies and property ownership that heavily favored him, suggesting premeditation. What had once seemed like a grieving widower slowly became a calculated manipulator in the eyes of authorities. As news of these discoveries spread, media attention grew, turning the case into a public spectacle. The combination of wealth, secrecy, and betrayal captured the attention of viewers worldwide. Analysts dissected every detail: the marriage, the private investigator, the elderly retiree, the toxic substances, and the deleted footage. People speculated about motive, methods, and how someone with so much power could orchestrate such a cold plan. Meanwhile, the husband maintained a composed exterior, attending social events, giving interviews, and speaking politely to friends and family. Behind closed doors, however, pressure mounted as evidence steadily accumulated. Each revelation chipped away at the carefully crafted image of innocence, and the crime's complexity began to emerge, showing a chilling combination of opportunity, planning, and control that would ultimately prove impossible to conceal. The elderly retiree became an unexpected but crucial witness as the investigation deepened. His cooperation revealed details about the bride's state of mind in the months leading up to her death, her fear, her growing anxiety, and her quiet but desperate plans to find freedom. He shared messages, emails, and subtle hints of the bride's distress, evidence that painted a picture of a woman trapped in a life she could not escape. Investigators realized that the motive for her death was not sudden anger, but a deliberate effort to prevent her from leaving, to maintain control at any cost. A thorough search of the husband's digital records uncovered drafts of letters, notes about legal strategies, and plans detailing risks and contingencies. Every step of the murder, it seemed, had been calculated in advance. Experts noted the chilling precision of the crime, the way the house's security systems were manipulated, how evidence was staged to suggest accident, and the way the timing of events created plausible deniability. The retiree's testimony, once combined with forensic findings, created a timeline that was impossible to dispute. Each piece of evidence demonstrated cold, methodical planning rather than a spontaneous act of violence. The case became a study in calculated manipulation, showing how someone could use wealth and influence to orchestrate a crime while maintaining a public image of innocence. The story of the bride, once a tale of isolation and secret hope, was now a testament to control, obsession, and the dangerous lengths to which a person could go to preserve power over another's life. The arrest of the wealthy husband came quietly, without the drama of a public spectacle, yet it sent shockwaves through those who had followed the case. Authorities moved decisively, taking him into custody just as he was preparing for another business trip, removing any chance for escape or interference. In court, prosecutors presented an unbroken chain of evidence, detailing every calculated move, every moment of surveillance, and every digital footprint left behind. The timeline was meticulous, leaving little room for doubt. Witnesses, including the elderly retiree, described the bride's final months, revealing her growing fear and the meticulous steps the husband had taken to maintain control. For the defense, doubt became a distant hope. The pattern of planning, manipulation, and premeditation was overwhelming. As trial proceedings continued, the media coverage intensified. Public opinion shifted sharply against the husband, portraying him as a man whose wealth and influence could not shield him from justice. Analysts dissected the case, emphasizing the intersection of power, secrecy, and betrayal. Even those who had once admired his success were forced to confront the reality of his calculated cruelty. Behind the courtroom walls, the husband remained calm, adhering to a composed exterior that mirrored his public persona, but the weight of mounting evidence left no room for escape. Each piece of testimony, every forensic report, and every financial record contributed to a clear conclusion. The crime had been deliberate, cold, and meticulously orchestrated. The arrest and trial marked a turning point, transforming a story of hidden love and betrayal into a chilling tale of control, manipulation, and the ultimate cost of obsession. The verdict brought closure to the case, though it could never erase the tragedy that had unfolded. The husband was convicted of murder and sentenced to spend the rest of his life behind bars, a punishment that reflected the cold, calculated nature of his crime. The courtroom had been filled with tension, as every piece of evidence had painted a detailed picture of premeditation and manipulation. Outside, the world watched as a wealthy man, once untouchable, was held accountable for actions that had shocked the nation. The elderly retiree returned to a quieter life, carrying the weight of grief, guilt, and sorrow for a woman he had cared for deeply but could not protect. Friends and family of the bride struggled with the realization that her life had been stolen not by chance, but by someone who had meticulously planned every step. Media coverage lingered, dissecting every detail of the case, from the first signs of the affair to the final moments in the home gym. For many, the story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of isolation, control, and hidden power. It highlighted how appearances can be deceiving and how wealth and influence can mask cruelty. Yet the case also revealed that even the most calculated plans can be undone by small mistakes and the persistence of those who seek truth. The bride's life, though tragically cut short, became a symbol of resilience and the human desire for freedom. The documentary closes on a stark reminder. Some crimes are silent, meticulously planned, and hidden in plain sight, but justice, though delayed, can eventually uncover the darkest truths.